Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to another edition of the AFC North Talk. Wait, let me read it because I know people are going to bring it in the chat and people are going to be like, why is Ace in the corner or down? Okay, I'll be myself in the basement. Don't worry, y'all. Anyway, I'm feeling a little bit better, by the way.
By the way, didn't I tell y'all there would be chaos if the Steelers or the Ravens finish below both Cleveland and Cincinnati? That would be like one of them years where, like, you know, where it's like where what's it called? What's one of them sorry SEC schools don't nobody talk about?
Missouri.
Vanderbilt. It would be like if Vanderbilt beat both Alabama and LSU. People are getting fired, dog, because the expectation is not that you're going to be falling below there. So next year when Pittsburgh fall below both of us, I don't know what y'all going to do because, you know, now that it's official, baby. Look, my fear about predicting bad things from Pittsburgh, now that Ben is no longer there, is gone. Them boys going to be booty butt. You can cut this into a video, whoever wants to. They're going to be the booty butt next year.
Already, way early prediction. We're hoping they don't get Rodgers. Anyway, yes, if you're not a Bengals fan, all other three franchises in a little bit of chaos, I guess. There's rumors everywhere for the Ravens. And the Steelers, they're putting a little candle there for Rodgers and seeing if they come. And then, well, we know with the whole Baker and the Brown situation is, we'll see that develops with the offseason. But we have one team still representing the North right now, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals. By the way, before I throw it to Ace, I want to make sure you all know we've been doing some Patreon content. Shout out to all the people that are in the Patreon. It's been great. Way casual conversations. So if you want to be part of that, make sure you subscribe and become a member in Patreon. Okay. Ace, man, I'm excited to hear your thoughts about this game. It's going to be a good one. I think one of the things we said before, and we said this in the Patreon, in my opinion, this is the Super Bowl. Because as I mentioned this year throughout the year, when people were telling me the NFC is better, I saw the NFC was a little overrated in my opinion, meaning versus the AFC. I thought the AFC have stronger horses. And in the Final Four, I think 1 and 2 are in the AFC, and then the NFC is whatever. But Ace, tell me, what are your thoughts going into the AFC Championship this weekend?
I think that this is probably the biggest game, I think, for the Bengals. And it's crazy to say that because if they win this, then it's the Super Bowl, right? But when from day one, I think when we kind of built this team, and I think I've even said it on here. I may have said it on here. I think so. But when I said that when you look at the AFC, the Chiefs are the class. You got to go through them. You got to be able to try to go through Pat Mahomes. And even though I was on the Penei Sewell side, one thing that Zim, I always agree with him on is, yeah, you can get Penei, but how is Penei going to help you against the Chiefs when Pat Mahomes has Tyreek Hill, he has Travis Kelce, he has all of these fast receivers, Pringle, all of these guys that you're not even thinking about, right? How are you going to bring Penei Sewell to that fight? And honestly, I had to agree with them. I'm like, if you want to go at the king of the AFC and Pat Mahomes, you're not going to be able to do that with Andy Dalton. That's when I jumped off of the Andy Dalton train because I just knew with the run that they were on that you were going to, number one, have to fix the quarterback position. You got to get a guy that's going to be top 5 against Pat Mahomes and those guys. Number 2, you got to get weapons and bring them to a fight with Pat Mahomes. And I think that is why not only is this the biggest game, look at where it's set. It's set in Arrowhead. So not only do you have to try to beat and take on Pat Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, they've been to the Super Bowl, 3 years in a row? You have to go into Arrowhead and try to take them out in their own house. That is the toughest environment to play in. That is the biggest stage when you talk about the AFC Championship outside of obviously the Super Bowl. And that is one of the biggest opponents that you're going to have to take on, right? It's almost like you're playing the final boss before the actual Super Bowl. And so for me, I think that this is the biggest moment, I think, or the biggest test for Joe Burrow and his team. Like, you could say that it was the first playoff win. I think this is way bigger of a test than that first divisional round card, because I was playing Derek Carr and I was playing the Raiders. I wasn't taking on Pat Mahomes in Arrowhead. And so I think that this is a game that obviously is going to be on a big stage. And I think in order for them to come in here, the reason why I have confidence, it starts with number 9, Joe Burrow, right? With Joe Burrow, I just feel like in any game that I'm in, that I always have somewhat of a chance. And you feel like that when you have Pat Mahomes. You feel like that when you have Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. You just don't bet against those guys. So I feel confident that Joe Burrow this moment isn't going to be too big for them. And then you talk about some of the other players that we have. That's one thing that I would say about Jamar Chase as well. I don't know if it's because these guys played at LSU. I don't know if it's because T. Higgins and these guys played in the 2020 National Championship and they're just used. Joe Burrow playing at Ohio State, playing at all of these loud stadiums and all of these environments. I don't know if that they just are ready to really rise into the moment, but that is what makes me feel confident. The other thing is this. Yes, the Bengals beat them at home, but you have to look at that game that we had against them. We were down in that game several different times by multiple touchdowns, and they were able to come roaring back. In this situation, we cannot allow that to happen. This is not a game where you can go into Arrowhead and get down early and expect to come back. And I think that they know that, and I think that they know that they have to get out and jump on these guys early in the game. I feel like when you compare the weapons, and now there's a lot of people in the NFL saying this, they said this when we played them in week 17. I think the Bengals actually have more weapons than the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, they have Tyreek Hill. Yes, they have Travis Kelce. But after that, you'd be hard pressed to really say that any guy that you named after that is better than the options that the Bengals have. Yes, we have Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase. Then I got T. Higgins. That's 1,100 yards from the receiver position, and he's our second guy. Then we have Tyler Boyd. He's there. Then C.J. Uzomah. Then you have Joe Mixon. So we have enough, I guess, gunpower or firepower to go at them. The other thing is this. The Chiefs, their secondary, I think that a lot of people really act like their secondary is trash. I'm not going to say that their secondary is trash at all. I wasn't buying the hype that people were talking about the Chiefs defense being so great in week 17. I'm not going to sell their corners short, but it's a tall task because everyone knows whenever you play the Bengals, whenever we do these previews, the first thing I ask you is, who are your corners? Who is going to be able to stop these guys? And when I look over there and I see not a Marlon Humphrey, I don't see a Denzel Ward, I don't see any of the elite corners in the NFL, you're going to be in for a long day. And that's across the board when you talk about all three of those guys. Now, Tyrann Mathieu, I'm expecting him to play. He's going to make a difference, but he didn't really make a difference like that in week 17. Now, he is definitely going to make a big difference between him and Daniel Sorensen, because we saw how Daniel Sorensen, anytime he's in there and Tyrann Mathieu was out last week, he got cooked. So I think that bodes well for the Bengals. The other thing is this. I think that we have the advantage when it comes to the defense. I feel like I can trust our defense to stop that offense more than that defense to stop our offense. And that's the type of game it's going to be. Points are going to get scored. The Chiefs are probably going to put 30 on you. I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to hold the Chiefs to 10 points. That's just not realistic. I'm going to just be real with you. And so I feel like our defense with Cheeto being on Tyreek Hill, which he did a great job on him the last time, I believe the numbers were 2 out of 5 for 12 yards or something like that. Tyreek Hill, though, in that game did drop a deep pass. That was, I think, right before the half. But I think that you're never going to shut them down. I always say that, right? You can only slow them down. Concentrate on Tyreek Hill, concentrate on slowing down Travis Kelce so that they just don't have gargantuan games on you. And that's what we did last time. And I feel like that is what helped us kind of win. But, you got to stop those guys, or not stop them, but at least slow them down. From their running game, I think guys that you have to be prepared for. One of the guys that I'm hoping that the Bengals have accounted for is actually Jerick McKinnon, because he can do some things in the flats. And obviously, I think if there was one weakness on this defense outside of some of the things, it's really kind of covering those flats, getting people and running backs out in space. And Jerick McKinnon is a guy that they cannot afford to forget in this situation. So as long as we play solid on defense, you try to hold them to 3 when you can, try to force any kind of change of possession back to your offense. The offense has got to show up. I mean, we've talked about it on this ad nauseum almost. Against the Raiders and the Titans, they weren't great in the red zone. They have to be great in the red zone in this game. I think that they can be. And then you talk about special teams. Both of these teams have good kickers. You talk about Harrison Butker. You talk about Evan, for us, McPherson. You got to make sure that if you are in that territory, whether it's late in the game and you got the 50-yarders, that he's got to be knocking those down. And so I feel like the Bengals can go into this game and steal it. It's going to be tough, though. Nobody's going to give it to them. It could go either way. I like our chances in this game because I feel like a lot of people are discounting. Not only did the Bengals win last game, they had to come from behind. I don't want this game to be a situation where you get behind early. And yes, I do feel like Arrowhead is allowed plays. That's been another topic of this game going into it because they went and grabbed a quote from Joe Burrow, literally from like week 2 of him saying that, college stadiums are louder than NFL stadiums, and turned it into Joe Burrow is saying that college stadiums are better or are louder than, Arrowhead, which that's cool. But we all know, like a lot of Chiefs fans that we've been interacting with last night, all of they're saying is it's loud. They're not saying that we're going to stop Jamar Chase. They're not saying that we're going to stop Joe Burrow. They're saying that it's loud. Yeah, it was loud last week when you played Josh Allen as well. That didn't really stop him. So I think in order, another key to this game, you have to try to take the crowd out. And how do you do that? You do that by scoring and trying to build a lead on the team to take the crowd out. I think that's what they have to do. But this is the biggest game. I'm not trying to downplay the Super Bowl, but when you come at the King or you come at a team like the Chiefs, you got to come with your full ammo. I think that the Bengals can do it. I think if we do escape Arrowhead, I think that is probably by 3 points. I called it last night on my guy that's the Chiefs, I think Kansas City Report here on YouTube. I said 38-35. I'm sticking with it, 38-35 Bengals.
Okay, we have a couple super chats, and then I'm going to go with UQ. Diddy here says Ace. The Chiefs.
Yes, they really did say T. Higgins was mid until we ran them those stats. And then they were like, that's T. Higgins. Yes, that's T. Higgins.
Nova Stone here says.
No reason. Like, even before he was a Bengal, he was like,
wow.
I didn't know how he slipped to the second round. But
is this what you're doing, Nova Stone? Because he says that I hate Pat Mahomes, but I'm rooting for him to shut up Burrow. That's kind of weird, Nova Stone, because an actual Patriots fan came in there and was talking about who they last night because apparently there's some kind of rivalry between the Chiefs and the Patriots that I had no idea about.
But Noah Stone is not a Patriots fan. Remember, he's just a he's
a Tom Brady fan who's also a Ravens fan.
Yeah,
Tom Brady is on the couch.
Also cheers for the legacy of Bill Belichick, who, that man got most. Nah, I ain't gonna do it.
In his time, he better not retire. That's all I'm gonna say, Nova Stone, because the rumors are Tom might be hanging it up. I don't know. I guess you'll stick with the Ravens then, because he's a Ravens fan, right?
Yeah,
Ravens
I think he's also.
But I remember the last time he talked about the Ravens, he said he wanted Lamar to get benched or something for like a true backup, a true pocket passer or something like that. I was like, nah, man.
This mess here says the real question is, how do you stop Jackson Mahomes and Brittany Matthews from posting TikTok?
Just stop following them and giving them air because you hate them so much. Why are you following
people
and liking
really do hate them
just so you could be mean to them?
I don't know.
Leave them alone. There's no reason to ever pay attention to the. I don't get the. I'm gonna go on a quick rant here. Maybe this will get Tony to show up.
There you go.
We gotta stop. Like, just stop, NFL. Like, you don't have to follow everybody on the team's wives and family members, and you don't need to do that, because all that happens is when those players have bad games, you go to them and you start attacking them, and don't nobody want to deal with y'all. Y'all need to stop doing this stuff and put Jackson Mahomes is not the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
Like, if that man want to make TikToks, as annoying as them TikToks, it's like Juju doing it at midfield, playing in the middle of the game. Leave that little 20-year-old boy alone. He just trying to get clout or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you out there giving it to him. Man,
I'm not a TikTok, so
why are you giving him the clout? Just leave the
I'm just
boy
not
alone. He
about
loves you so
attacking
much.
players like family and their wives and stuff like that. So I've kind of stayed far away from that because I'm like, that's just, I don't know. I know I'm married. If somebody was talking about my wife like that, which in Pat Mahomes' situation,
Or
he's in a
speculating
completely
on your
different
family life.
situation, but
Yeah, it gets to like they speculate on your family life and then make it
that's
into
just
your
weird.
football. Like, the thing that was like, there are a lot of things with Baker you can criticize. The thing that I get the most upset when people criticize about Baker is when they're like, he got married in the offseason. That's why he stunk in 2019. No, he stunk in 2019 because he was sorry. Okay.
Oh, really?
It ain't that deep.
Wow.
That is wild.
People drawing conclusions here. Okay. Diddy here says Big Ben done. TB12 next. Noah's son gonna cry in the car. Q. You can send Tampa Baker and Polish Boys for a case of Gatorade and a 2033 7th round pick.
When you talk about it, look, Baker Mayfield has given a lot of advertisers in the league cold feet because y'all forget 2018, they was all in on Baker Mayfield as like the next dude that was going to take over the league, right? After he had that good year. There's a commercial that exists for NFL 100 where Tom Brady is literally handing over his 7 rings to Baker Mayfield in an NFL commercial as if he is passing the rock to Baker to hold down. Yeah, we'll see if he holds it down.
Noah's still here says Bengals salty at Tampa Bay or Tom Brady. Sorry, Tom Brady won Super Bowl with the losses to
losing his franchise. I mean, yeah, a lot of people forgot that the New England Patriots used to suck. I mean, Tom Brady's a GOAT. Like
you talking about Tampa Bay being the losing his franchise.
Oh, Tampa Bay? Yeah, I mean,
they used to be.
Tampa Bay won a Super Bowl in 2002, though. Don't get it twisted. They've won one before.
And who be thinking about that? Like, there was one stat that somebody brought up. They're like, "Oh, these Browns fans mad at the Bengals because they've been to the AFC Conference Championship. They broke their thing since 88, and the Browns ain't been there since 89. Dog, I have never thought about that.
Yeah,
nobody thinks about that.
Nobody
Browns fans are hating the Bengals just because they don't like the Bengals, dog. Like vice versa. You know what I mean?
He was actually like, I'm friends with people that are actually Tampa Bay fans, not I'm a Tom Brady Tampa Bay fan where it's like the Miami Heat LeBron connection, like legit Tampa Bay fans.
So here with another one. Tom Brady come back to win a Super Bowl, then walks away. Destiny.
Is he gonna do it with the Browns? What you gonna do then, Nova Stone?
Oh man, I mean, I have a friend of mine that is not a football fan, and he was like, "Sonny, what does this mean?" It was it's Tom Brady with a Jets uniform. Have you seen that meme? Like final test. Win the Jets.
That would be insane.
Yeah, I was trying to explain it to him and all that.
By the way, what Tom Brady did to the Jets this year was flat rude. I mean, he let them have the lead for 3 quarters just to do what he knew he was going to do that whole game. That was just flat rude. Like, they get to see you once every, 4 years? You know what I mean? It wasn't a guarantee he was ever going to play the Jets again. They was happy. One of my good friends is a Jet fan. He was so happy Tom Brady left. And then he just came back and did it to him. Gave him hope, too. That was nasty.
Is he like, so does he have, if he does come back, is he under contract with the Bucs or can he go wherever he wants?
I think he has like an option.
I thought he was.
He might. San Francisco. I don't know.
That's another rumor for Aaron Rodgers.
That's another place for Aaron Rodgers definitely wants to go to San Francisco for sure.
So, he's 49 years old. Okay, 44 years old. Jeez. Yeah, he's a free agent. He's just straight up free agent. He has void years left. Yeah. So like he could sign for $25 million next year, and it would only cost the Bucs $1 million because he has 24 in void years next year.
Remember when no one wanted to sign Tom Brady? Remember when that was a thing? Remember when before he signed in Tampa, nobody wanted to sign Brady? You remember that? Yeah. Like people were like, nah, dog, we good.
No, that's what he was talking about, where the 49ers refused to sign him. And he was like, you gonna keep that guy over me? He was talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. But no, he has 3 years left on, but you have to remember they're void years. He's not gonna get any money.
But 2022, he has a contract in 2022. That's next
Oh
year.
yeah. I forgot. This is 2021. Yeah, he still has a normal year. Okay.
Yeah, so he has
so
one
he still
year,
has one more year. Okay.
and then three years after that. So yeah, he'll be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer if he comes, unless there's a player option that I don't know about.
Yeah, Tony's saying he's definitely not a free agent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Tony would be talking about bringing time to the Steelers.
Yeah,
Oh,
Tony
yeah.
knows
You know
every
that would've
single
happened.
quarterback free agent right now.
Get a real Hall of Fame quarterback in Pittsburgh. Right?
Is Tampa? Well, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Were
Cross
you actually Tom's a Hall of Famer?
No, I was gonna say it's gonna when Brady retires, is he gonna go to the Ring of Honor in Pittsburgh? Like oh shit, now we can finally.
Nah, he's gonna go to the Ring of Horror.
Crown Snap here says Jackson better not let Bomb Bell catch him dancing. To be honest, like Quincy said, I don't get the whole, he's goofy because the only reason I see some of his videos is because for some reason they start trending on Twitter. And I'm like, the first time I was like,
Yeah, the one thing he did that was really dumb was when he danced on like the Sean Taylor logo.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand as somebody who grew up during Sean Taylor, like that's definitely disrespectful, but I also have to be empathetic that kid has no idea who Sean Taylor is.
Yeah, he probably didn't know. And
like,
then
it's just another decal on the field to him.
Well, I think in that game they ended up losing, and he threw the water bottle on the fan. That was that whole. Because I remember seeing that video because it went viral. I'm like, and again, if you're in Twitter, that's fine.
Dog, you can hear what they be saying at the internet. Like, I promise you, whoever got that water bottle thrown at him deserved it.
Probably.
Like,
probably. Aaron Rodgers. Sorry for Noah's tongue. Aaron Rodgers not going to like Bay Area. Gotta get vaccinated. Okay. Well,
how did you fit that? We weren't even talking about Aaron Rodgers going to San Francisco.
Oh, we talked about Aaron Rodgers going to the Niners, so that's where he was.
No, we were talking about Brady going to the Niners, and why?
And then we threw Rodgers in there too.
Well, no, this is when Brady wanted to go there when he was a free agent, but they didn't want him to go.
There he is.
What up? Oh, I got to turn my work monitor off. Hold on.
What up?
My door's open. I mean, we got a lot of bad things.
Bengals plus 500, a bet by Tony. What was that on screen?
Where?
Oh yeah, he took the straight line.
Listen, I got a whole sheet full of bets here. Sonny already knows. Sonny, I'm gonna give fans of our show. Sonny, I think said it earlier. We did a Patreon video this week where we talked about a lot of different prop bets. I'm gonna give you guys a little taste of what we talked about on the Patreon show. I'm gonna give you guys my Bengals prop bets I like this week. We'll do that later on.
Oh, Tony, you had me excited. I was ready to.
Yeah, no.
No, man. Me, Tony, and Sonny are the degenerate gamblers of the show.
Well, Quincy's coming. He's coming.
Nah, I learned my lesson.
No, you just got a taste.
I learned my lesson. I know.
I
was like, I'm gonna have some fun during the wild card weekend and bet on these games. And
a bad weekend, man. A bad weekend.
That's a tough weekend to bet on.
Didn't hit nothing. Not a single one. And then the next week, I was like, nope, not doing it. And then I would have hit every bet that I would have put down.
Yeah,
that's how it always is when you don't do it.
That's why I'm saying it's just like in Vegas. I know I have poor luck. I was born a Cleveland Browns fan. Like, sometimes you can't just assume things are going to work out for you. I understand why Sonny and Tony can do this whole thing because they were lucky when they were born. They got born into 2 Super Bowls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The quarterback at the quarterback with the Ravens.
People forget. When I first started cheering for the Steelers, okay, the quarterbacks for the Steelers were Bubby Brister, Neil O'Donnell, Mike Tomczak, Kent Graham. Let's not act like, I came in at the perfect time for the Steelers.
Achilles Smith, Gus Farratt.
Well, I mean, those were also bad. Yeah,
again,
let's not act like the Steelers' success, just guaranteed.
You ready to tap in, Quincy?
Imagine growing up on Charlie Fry.
No, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to a Browns fan. I mean, the Browns, I don't understand. That one I don't get. Well, I mean, I do get because I cheer for the Browns in soccer, but yeah.
When they out here talking about we gonna bring back Colt McCoy, baby. Let's go. Okay, I guess this is the guy. When you're having conversations with other Browns fans about why Brandon Wheaton in his second year probably isn't good. You know what I mean?
Brandon Wheaton just need a couple more, at 28 years of age or however old he was when he got drafted. He just need a couple more years to develop.
You want to know the saddest quarterback debate you could ever hear? During the 0-16 Browns season, there was an actual debate on Twitter. People were getting emotional about it. During the 0-16 year, the team was garbage. You know what was the debate? Boy, is it Kevin Hogan or is it Deshaun Kaiser?
Kaiser.
Ooh, Deshaun
And
Kaiser.
then there was a Cody Kessler crew of people who were like, "Hey, don't sleep on 6."
There you go.
Diddy here says free Zim from Twitter jail.
Twitter jail, the Chiefs fan. It's crazy because we actually had a very cordial spaces last night, but apparently one Chiefs fan got in his feelings about Zim saying that the Bengals were going to cause them agony on Sunday and decided to report him. So he is in Twitter jail. He's about to post bail though. He's about to post bail soon,
Yeah.
so he will be back with a vengeance.
This will work. This is Twitter. This will work by Twitter.
Wait.
This
How
will work.
long is he
Imagine.
gonna be-
Listen. This will work.
I'm about
calling
to
it a work
post
right
the
now.
Bengals slander right now.
This is a work. This is a work. They're gonna unjail him
It's
like
when
halftime
Stone
of the
Cold
game.
Steve Austin
Zim's
get
gonna
arrested
be
at the
absolutely on
beginning of
fire
Monday
coming out of
Night
jail. Yeah, that's how it's gonna be.
You know he gonna come back right before the Chiefs game, like Stone Cold. Like
That's what I'm saying. Like once Zim gets
the
unjailed,
fourth quarter gonna hit is them gonna
his
get
gloves
free
off.
from
Yeah.
Twitter jail.
as if
It's
Zim.
gonna be like
I mean,
that
there are no
grass.
gloves usually when so.
Okay, let's riding back into the show. Q, your thoughts on this game?
All right, so this is one of those things where it's like, I like the Bengals, but they're going up against what the football equivalent is of the KD Warriors. You know what I mean? Like to beat this team at home. Like, I don't care how good you are, who your quarterback is, you need to play perfectly to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, especially in a game that's like the conference championship. You might be able to sneak up on them in the first round and catch them slipping. But the thing about the Chiefs,
Nope,
I
you
know.
can't. No, you actually can't.
Yeah. But the thing with the Kansas City Chiefs, right, is not only are they extremely talented, not only are they very good, they're very experienced, right? They're demons, basically. Like, you remember how hard it was to eliminate the Warriors, even when they had nobody left on their roster that one year, right? Where it took like 6 games for Toronto to finally get rid of them with Kawhi Leonard playing at the best of his abilities. There was one year where they lost a bunch of dudes in the conference finals and still got into the NBA finals and won the whole thing, right? So even though I think the Bengals are a worthy challenger and a very talented team, and they do on paper, this makes sense that they could do it, because on paper it does make sense. I just have the belief that the Kansas City Chiefs are demons. Like, they should have been eliminated last week, right? You know, they should have been out of the whole like top seed conversation months ago when they struggled and had that period where they looked like they weren't going to even make the playoffs, right? But then they just rose to the occasion, right? 13 seconds left, they find a way to get a field goal, not just like a tough field goal. It was like what, a 45-yard field goal. They got it like 13 seconds. You know, they're just demons like that, and it's very hard for a team to beat a team that is as experienced in the playoffs and as demon-like as the Kansas City Chiefs in your first try playing them in that kind of a setting, right? Like, I think the one thing the Bengals have gotten fortunate by was the draw, right? Like, you know, you're getting the first playoff game for Derek Carr. They're not experienced. They don't really know what they're doing in that essence. They're just as inexperienced as the Bengals, if not the Bengals are more experienced, because they do have a little bit more veterans that have some actual playoff experience on their roster. And then they go up and they play the Titans, who do have a lot of playoff experience, but it's not like they have a quarterback in which that you feel like that means anything, right? Like that experience that Ryan Tannehill had gave Ace confidence in the Bengals.
Yes, it did.
Not anything that concerned him, right? This week's the absolute opposite of it, right? We got a bot in chat, by the way. Somebody go block that. But this week's gonna be the opposite, where you're going up against a team that just figures it out. Whenever they need it, whatever they need, they figure it out. Like, by any means necessary. And that's the thing. I think the Bengals Josh Allen last week was the perfect example. I don't know what he could have done Like, I don't know what people talk about. All the Bills defense blew it. They're like, what can you do? Like at that point, right? Like, yeah, you left the seam open because they got Tyreek Hill on the other side and they need a chunk of yards. So you might be like, yeah, let's just leave the seam open. Travis can't get 30. Like, it's one of those things where, like, not only are they talented, but they're so experienced. Andy Reid, he's been around forever, been in these moments time and time before. And I think, for a Bengals team that all these players, they played in big games, maybe in college, but not in the NFL at this level. I don't know how many players they have on their roster that's played in a conference championship. I believe what's his slot corner? Mike Hilton.
Mike Hilton
might be one. Did he start?
Yeah.
In 2016? He started 2016. And then that's about it. Zach Taylor, I mean, like, he hasn't been a head coach in this level either. So you have to see what's happening there. It's going to require the Bengals to play a perfect game to win. I can't bet on perfect games. I can't just say a perfect game is going to happen here. And I think Joe Burrow is going to be good enough to keep him in it. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs team, they're demons. They're absolute demons. And it's just so hard to beat them, and it's so hard to beat them on your first try. Now, maybe it might be a thing where it's like, since you're there for the first time, you don't even know really like the kind of situation that you're in or how important it is. So it makes you less nervous. And maybe this is the time for the Bengals to beat them. That could be a factor, right? Because if you've been to 3 conference championships, you would know how hard it is to get there. And then like it'd make it more nerve-wracking to get past that point. But yeah, it's just so tough to beat Kansas City in the playoffs. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has never played a road playoff game in his life other than in the Super Bowl, right? Like, that is something to behold of how great that team has been over this 4 or 5 year stretch. And, when you're that great, you just have that, it's like that winner thing, right? That championship advantage where you're just a champion, you know how to win and you figure it out. That's where the Chiefs are right now, where they're just so good that they know how to win in any situation. And that's why I just think it's so tough to predict the Bengals going to win over them. Hopefully it's a really good game. We'll see what happens here. I mean, it's hard to top that what happened last week, but there is a bit of solace for Bengals fans. I don't know if y'all know, but the record for a playoff team that has played in overtime, the next game they play in the playoffs, not a great record. Right? Like, usually not a great record. And the Bengals, I think they played on Saturday, so they have the extra day of rest. Maybe that factors in there. If the Chiefs come in here, make mistakes, I'm not anticipating that. But, I don't think it's crazy to think that the Bengals can win this game at all. Because I was going to pick the Bengals if it was the Bills. And the Bills are pretty close to where the Chiefs are. But I just think since it is the Chiefs and they have that experience, I think that's going to be something that's going to put them over the top, in my opinion.
So Bengals by how many, Q? I'm sorry, Chiefs by how many? 4, 5, 6?
I don't really like picking points here. I'll just say I just keep it at the line, 2.5 with 3 points.
It's 7. No, it's 7. The line is 7.
Okay, it's a bit much. I think they'll probably win by like a field goal. It's going to be a close game.
Everybody's taking the Bengals.
Well, no. I'm saying the Chiefs are going to win.
No, but I'm saying, yeah. If you
I'm going. Okay, so I'm taking the under.
You would take the Bengals plus 7. Yeah.
Okay. Austrian here says, is Joe Burrow ever gonna have a love life, or is he just too much of a demon at football to care?
Joey B's already. He's got a girl already.
Yeah, I didn't know.
That's the most demon-like dude ever. He still found time to chat up some lady who speaks English as a second language. Like, I think they can figure it out. I think they're brilliant people if they're that good at quarterback. Well, brilliant in some aspects.
Jamil Johnson here says, the Bengals have only scored 3 touchdowns in the first 2 rounds. They should go off.
Be careful. Listen, I spent a whole year doing the whole like, hey, this is just not sustainable.
The law of average, Tony.
Yeah, the law of averages, right? It's got to come back down to earth. Hey, be very careful when projecting these 2 teams as, these outliers can't last forever.
Dude, I believe in the law of average. But
I don't know what the over is, but this shit could get to 100. Like,
no, I actually like the under in this game. I'll explain
48,
why.
Right?
It's 53.
Ground zero.
The over under is 53.
Ground zero here says Bengals figure it out too. We are a second half team. That's why our second divisional games went just as well as their first, besides Browns resting. Okay.
We'll never know if the Bengals could have ever beaten the
That's right.
Browns this
That's
year.
right. It's
We'll
one of
never
life's
know
great
who's the
mysteries.
better team.
Yeah. The way the Browns were playing at the end of the year versus the way the Bengals were playing, it's tough. It's
Yeah, the
tough
way
to-
look,
I am glad that Quincy didn't put that steak on it, that we would split this year. Because he was eating
I
that
could have
steak
won
up
that
for
back,
Panay.
technically. But I think
He
I
was
was like,
eating that steak up during the draft with Panay.
James Falling here says, no matter what happens in the game, I am very excited about the future of this team. Go Bengals.
Bengals, don't do that. Don't do the happy to be here thing. You're one game away from the Super Bowl. Don't be happy to be here. Win
I'm
the
trying to
football
get that
game.
Super Bowl.
yeah,
done.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm about to disagree with some of the stuff Ace was saying during that, but I'm like, I understand the energy. Like, yeah, this is the Browns. I'm like, it's just the Chiefs. Like, we gonna beat this thing, and then we gonna beat some Jimmy G in the playoffs, baby. Let's do it. Like, let's do it. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? You lose the AFC Championship game? Nah, dog, go all the way. Like,
The feeling of your team winning the championship game, I think, maybe this is just a me thing, but I actually was more excited the day the Steelers clinched that first Super Bowl appearance, like 2005. No, sorry. For me, it was 95. It was 95. That was incredible. That was even better than when they won the Super Bowl. Like when they beat the Seahawks that one year, like I was really excited. But that feeling of like, oh my God, my team is about to play in the freaking Super Bowl of all things. You can't beat that moment. So
y'all made the Super
don't
Bowl
be happy
in
to be here.
95?
Be happy when you win this game.
Wait, y'all made the Super Bowl in 95? Like, was that the 95 Super Bowl or was that like the 95 season Super Bowl?
95 season Super Bowl is probably played in 96.
96 or something like that.
Cowboys,
Yeah.
Steelers, Cowboys,
I'm about to
90.
say,
Yeah.
I know
Super
for a
Bowl
fact, like, did y'all really go to the Super Bowl the year the Browns got like yeeted off the planet, the face of the earth? Did that actually happen?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you my take. That way, Tony, you can be last since you have all the prop bets and all this betting.
I have thoughts on the game and prop bet, so I may go on for we may do a 3-hour show if you let me go last.
I'll let you go last. I'm gonna try to be brief because I don't have the capacity to keep going, but I think this is gonna be a good game. I am concerned, but I do believe in the law of average. I have been saying, it's weird. Bengals don't score touchdowns. This is a game they need to figure out how to punch it in because I do think how the Steelers, I do think how the Chiefs are probably gonna play them is we'll allow you to go through the 20s. We'll let you go from 20 to 20. Once we're in the red zone, we're gonna hunker down. So they need to figure out a way to score touchdowns because the other side, they come quick. As you saw, 12, 13 seconds, they can come and score a field goal. With 20, they might have scored a touchdown, right? So they need to figure out they cannot leave points on the board, which is gonna be interesting because I wonder if this is gonna take a little bit of Zach Taylor's comfort. Zach Taylor looks to me he's been more of a conservative coach when it comes to going forward on fourth, especially early. So you saw Buffalo. Buffalo said, you know what? F it. We're going to go for it on fourth down, which I was shocked. And then they had a field goal. They were like, nah, we're going to go again. And that was in the first drive, right? So I'm wondering if that's going to be the mentality of Cincinnati. I think it has to be. I think they need to be like, one of the things we talked when the Ravens and the Bengals played was early in that game with the Ravens when they were down by like 2 scores, they started going for it in their own territory, right? I'm not saying they need to do that in the first quarter for the Bengals, but if it is fourth and short near the 50, right, I think they need to go for it because if KC comes in and starts scoring, yeah, you guys have firepower, no doubt, right? I'm not doubting the firepower of the Bengals, but the other side has to equally as deadly as firepower. And your defense, I think, is better. The defense for the Bengals, I think, overall is better than the Chiefs. But again, I think what the Chiefs probably going to do is allow during that 80 yards, right? 20 to 20, go move the ball, whatever. Question is, can the Bengals punch it? And I agree again, Tony, I do believe in the law of averages, but the question here has to be, is the law of averages catching up to the Bengals, meaning that they scored too much points during the season, or is it just in the playoffs they're scoring too little and then they're coming up, right? We don't know. We'll see after this game. I think it's gonna be a good game, but I
bet on the outlier. Bet on the outlier. Always bet on the outlier when it's Chiefs Bengals.
I predicted the Bengals to win the first 2, right? And I have been going with dogs. Tony knows this. I've been loving the dogs
Yeah.
throughout the playoffs. Not this weekend though. I don't know. 7 points is rich. I would say this. 7 points is rich. You have push security there, Tony.
You have push protection, but here's the problem with push. You have the push protection at 7. 7 is the second most popular or the second most common point spread, right? As far as the final in games. But this problem with 7 is the backdoor cover is there all day for you. The backdoor cover is there all day. So you're never going to feel safe unless the Chiefs blow the doors off of them.
Which I don't expect that to happen.
I don't either.
I think what I think is going to happen, I think this game is going to be what was the over-under, Tony? 58?
53, I believe. I'll pull it up right now.
53?
I should have written it down, but I'm not betting it, so.
So, I think it's going to be close to that. I'm going to go with the over. I think a field goal, 30-27. It is, but it's going to be the Bengals trying to catch up to the Chiefs. I think they scored late a touchdown to make it 3, to break the hopes and to break that 7-point. People are going to lose their mind, but I think the Bengals will fall short. And now I wouldn't be surprised if they win. If they win, would I be shocked? No, I'll be more shocked if the Niners beat how Jimmy G is playing the Rams that I would be if the Bengals beat the Chiefs. So
that Jimmy G
said,
is a lot.
I think
are you really? I mean, the 49ers. Well, I mean, the 49ers swept the Rams this year, right? And that first game was not close. It was the whole
it's
like
kind of like your Jacksonville logic. They don't beat them. Like they just don't beat them. And then also another thing, and I don't mean to take any focus away. Look at Matt Stafford this year. Look at when he's had stretches of good games, and then look at
law of average. Again, the law of average.
Exactly. Bet.
He will go 2 games. Matt Stafford will go 2 games and play really well, and in that third game, you're gonna be like, because this is what Matt Stafford does. He plays well enough for you to get on that juice. Be like, oh yeah, people sleeping on Matt Stafford. He's actually top 7, top 5, and you won't believe it because he'll play like that for a couple of games, and he'll have that one game right after where you go, oh no, Matt Stafford, my bad.
I will say this. I think the O-line is key for the Bengals. I'm not expecting them to be elite, right? But they need to figure out how to hold a little bit better. This is if the O-line for the Bengals is equally as bad as they were against Tennessee, the Chiefs don't have Tennessee's D-line, but they have pretty good D-line. It's gonna be trouble, right? Because Tennessee couldn't score, which allows you to get a third down. You cannot convert. You can punt it and whatever because Tennessee's trash. They couldn't score. But the Chiefs, you don't want to be punting. You don't want to be playing that punting game too much because,
I know Zach wants that record, but, unless he getting all the extra points, dog, we don't need you to break that. Like, if I was the Bengals, I'd be like, nah, Zach, you don't need to break that record this week because that's not good.
We got some breaking news here into AFC North talk. The line for this game is not 7 anymore. The line moved to 7.5.
7.5.
It's
not push protection.
And I don't know how long that's going to last. So I am actually going. Hold on.
Too many people taking the Bengals, huh?
Yeah, and I'm going to be one of them right now. All right, hold on a second.
I'm like, why did Tony react like that to something?
Yeah, no, the line is 7.5 right now.
I thought breaking news.
This is about to announce that Aaron Rodgers got traded to the Steelers.
No. The line is 7.5. And
when you're breaking news, is that line moving?
The line moved by a half point, and that's huge. Well, because here's the thing. It tested, we're going to get way in the weeds of gambling here, but like the line tested 6.5 for like a split second when it came out. It opened at 7. It went down to 6.5 for like a split second. And then so many people put money on the Chiefs at that point that I had to put it back up to 7. I'm surprised that's 7.5 now. I think that's too many points, though. I'm now on the Bengals. Digits. I'm on the Bengals right now.
No, by the way,
they're going to win by 2 scores, right?
If you like gambling, make sure you follow us on Patreon. Be a member because we do talk a lot of gambling there. Okay, 7 Von Philly says it's the year of the Tiger in the championship. Coincidence, maybe. Also, what's the chance of Matthews? Mine is right after the concussion. I don't know about that.
I think he's going to be there. We did the same thing last week with Trey Hendrickson, so I think he'll be fine.
Tom Brady owns Pat Mahomes. He never be a GOAT. Pat Mahomes win.
I'm calling it right now. Pat Mahomes is the
Does Pat Mahomes have a win against Joe Burrow yet? Just checking. Has he beat Joe Burrow yet?
He never beat Brady.
Let me
though.
know.
That's what
Let me
Nova's
know
so
Stone
saying.
in the comments if he's beat Joe Burrow yet.
He's never been
I
Brady.
can't remember.
He never beat Brady.
He hasn't. He
He's
hasn't
only played
retired,
Brady,
Tony.
what,
That was
twice?
Big Ben.
Well, no, he's played Brady like.
Oh,
3
we
times.
heard about this all last night. You got to pay your dues because Tom Brady sat Pat Mahomes down the year that he had his 50 touchdowns and was the MVP. You got to pay your dues. That's what the Chiefs fans.
You know, and to go back to a point Quincy made though, like you know, yes, Brady did win that football game, and like, yeah, you know, you got to pay your dues and whatnot. But like, remember how they won that football game? Brady throws an interception on a play that D Ford lined up offside. D Ford lines up onside. That game is OVER. I mean, again, you got to go in there. You have to play your best game. The Patriots were great in that football game, but you also have to have a little bit of luck on your side too.
That's what I'm saying. And the Chiefs have
can't
all
make
of
those
like,
mistakes.
They just demons like that. Like there's teams that are like that like even when Brady was on the Patriots, they would have some of that in them where it's just like everything would go their way. And that's just, I think everything's just going to go the Chiefs' way because that's just usually what happens with them. It's ridiculous some of the games they've won this year. You know, if you look at it just from like a win probability chart, like what happened last week was ridiculous.
That was insane. That was definitely
People were
insane.
already. I'm pretty sure somebody got the shirt right. You know, oh yeah, the Bills AFC Championship berth, first one since whenever, you know, 95 or wherever it was.
It was so close. I'm surprised we didn't have a N'Kobe Dean situation where one of the players is wearing the wrong hat.
But honestly, some karma for the Bills in that game is a lot of Bengals fans were checking just what the AFC Championship tickets would be, and they were like $1,000 like during that game. Like the Kansas City ones were like $200 to $300 if we're just comparing. They wanted like $1,000 for the nosebleeds, and people were like, "Act like you've been there." Yes,
they were starting
because they don't have that. They have like a 40,000 seat stadium or something
it's
like
small,
that.
It's a smaller stadium.
Oh, so that's why they were trying.
That's why it's so
well, and their fan base is insanely rabid, and I'm sure that they would have.
Yeah, sure, that too. But like, if you had, I don't care if you had 70,000 people there, like you're gonna have at least 20,000 people. Like, I'll give it to you for a couple.
That makes way more sense now.
When it's 40,000, like that's like a Green Bay situation where you just on the wait list forever. You know. Just to get
you want some more breaking news? You guys want some more breaking news? And no, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a gambling thing. The line or the over-under on this game is 54.5 now. 54.5. It's gone up by a point.
Ooh.
I think I picked 30-27. So
watch this be like a defensive struggle.
I might take the under too. Because people forget about last week, right? People think about last week's game, two great offenses. No one can stop anybody in that game. And that was true. I mean, those two offenses, Mahomes and Allen, both played great. But that game came down to one play, the over did. And that was a 4th and 26 conversion miracle play by Josh Allen. If that play goes the other way, the under is a stone cold lock. And now when the score was like 26-20 or something at that point, the over under last week, I think was 52.5 or 53.5. That was an absolute under until that play happened. Then the whole, 90 points in 2 minutes thing happened. I'm already banning this guy, by the way.
Yeah, okay. I was about to grab.
Thank you.
I like this is experience. You know what I mean? We can talk and monitor weird things in chat. You know what I mean?
We're in postseason form. We are in postseason form tonight.
Wait, is this our third year together?
Second.
See, we're putting it together. You know what I mean? We're putting the offense together. We are no longer staring down the first receiver. You know what I mean? We out here getting
not gonna lie, we kind of had cohesion that first episode. I think that was like 3 years ago when we first jumped on.
When we went on Sonny's channel,
because Sonny had the audacity to talk about, man, it don't matter that the Browns got Myles Garrett. We got
we have so many hot takes.
Of guys.
You guys forget that was also the thing where I said the Steelers are gonna be better without AB, which.
Oh, and Juju was a number one receiver.
So, technically speaking, in the Steeler offense, like he's good enough to be a number one receiver. Deontay and Claypool.
Okay, so we have some super chats here. Stuart says, thanks for all the quality shows this year, AFC North talk. How does the Bengals defense compare to the Bills in slowing down the KC offense? I talk about this in the Patreon, but I'm going to give you a snippet. I thought this Buffalo Bills defense, and if there's a Bills Mafia here, you can come at me, was very overrated. And I went through Tony to all their games. They play maybe 3 good offenses in the whole year, maybe, if that. The rest were just like atrocious offenses that they played throughout the year. So I thought they were overrated. Yeah, Tony said the same thing about the Bengals.
No, I said you. No, I said the argument you made, which is that you could go through and say, look at all these bad teams they played. I mean, everybody plays bad teams. I don't always buy the level of competition.
No.
thing.
But it's not about the wins. It's about the offense because we were specifically talking about defense versus offense, right?
Right.
And they
But
played.
the Bengals played, a lot of bad
I
offense. Jets,
think the
Jaguars,
Bengals
Lions,
in terms of
Steelers.
slowing the Kansas City Chiefs down, all you have to do is go back to week 17 because in the second half, Kansas City scored 3 points, and a lot of people were trying to figure out how did this Bengals, even Chiefs fans couldn't believe they only scored 3 points in the second half, and I think the recipe for that was concentrating on Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and so I think that's what they ended up doing in that game, and that's how they were able to do that in the second half, but you're not going to stop the Chiefs offense. Like you're going to have to slow them down, but they did a good job of that in week 17.
Yeah, it's a real credit if you hold them under 25, right? Like that's probably the bar. Under 25 is a great game. You got to take advantage and win those games if you can get them down to 25. 30, hey, it's going to be a toss up if they get to 30, and if they get to 40. I mean, throw it up, baby. Like, hey, go for it. If the Chiefs look like they about to put 40, if I'm Zach Taylor,
25 is like shutting them down
on every fourth down, dog. I don't care if it's 4th and 15 because you ain't gonna do nothing by punting them that thing. Like, so what you gonna do? Make them drive an extra 25 yards? That's sometimes how I felt when the Browns had terrible defenses back in the day. I was like, punting's useless because they get the yards anyway that we saved them from not getting. Like, I never understood why bad teams punt so much. Just might as well make it fun. They gonna get the 40 yards. You got no defense. The Browns was not benefiting from field position at all.
Make it fun. You know what I mean? Nova's still here says, Sonny, why are you so confident in Lamar Jackson winning the Super Bowl? Look, the question, I'll ask you this question. If you think Lamar Jackson is top 10 quarterback, in my opinion, you need a top 10 quarterback to have a chance to win the Super Bowl, especially when they are still underpaying Lamar, right? Even next year in the 5th year is still going to be considerably good salary. Yeah. Now, if Lamar goes to $50 million per year, it's a different story because now you need him to do even more of what he's been doing. We can have that discussion. But right now, why would I not have faith? I mean, the guy won an MVP. You can see what happened to the Ravens, but he didn't play.
I know why you don't like the Bills. I remember why you don't like the Bills defense. Okay.
What?
Okay. I just remembered. Well, you've had some bad experiences.
But that was 2 years ago when it's a different defense. It's not the same.
One thing is, how can Tony like the Bills defense? They lost to the Steelers this year.
No, I don't. No. I was just disagreeing with Sonny's argument. Like, I never liked the whole, they haven't played anybody thing. Like, oh, look at all these bad teams. Yeah.
You play.
I've never been a fan of that argument.
My point wasn't on the wins. My point was that defense hasn't been challenged enough. That was my whole point. Yeah. And people talk about them being great because of stats. And my point was those stats are overrated based on their quality of opponents. You play whoever you have to play, you win against you have to win. But I'm saying as people were talking about Bills top 3, I'm like, are they really a top 3?
Oh, whoa, they weren't top 3 this year.
Yeah, no. Football Outsiders had them as the number 1 defense in the league.
Some people were putting them up there.
And I was like,
pass the eye test.
But I remember DVOA opponent adjusts, right? I mean, so
yeah.
I know, but I mean, it's hard when their opponents that they have. Anyway, we're not gonna go to this.
I don't know. It's one of them things though with the defense. You just kind of have a feel for how good they are, and I never really got that dominant feel for like the Bills. Where like, oh, okay, this is like honestly, I thought the Titans probably a better defense than Buffalo.
There's a lot of factors that go into it because even with like the Bengals defense, I had a guy reach out to me. I think from the Giants when Lou Anarumo was like interviewing there, and he was like, why is the Bengals defense so bad? And I was like, the Bengals defense is not bad, bro.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just takes like context because I think another thing that you have to account for is like how good is your offense? Like, do they struggle? Do they punt a lot?
Mm-hmm.
Do they put the ball do they put your defense back on the field majority of the game? So it's hard to just go straight up off of just numbers sometimes with defense.
Which is why the Browns defense this year deserves every bit of credit they do.
Oh, yeah.
The Browns were like always giving that thing up or going 3 and out this year. Sometimes without even sometimes they just stop the clock all 3 downs. You know what I mean? Like they let like 13 seconds elapse, so that's why people need to get on. People are still trying to get Joe Woods fired in Cleveland.
Nah.
I mean,
Fire him.
like, you want to send him to Baltimore? Like,
I mean, we'll take him as a special advisor. That's what the Ravens usually do.
I don't know. I found out though, the longer I do this, like in general, a lot of like general fans just don't know defense that well. Like it's one of those things you kind of like. It's not you can just like look at it and know with offense because the ball's there, right? Like you need to be able to understand what a lot of different responsibilities are and what different things are. Because I hear like all kind of wild stuff. Like somebody told me cover zero was a prevent. And I was like, in what world is a cover zero?
Yeah, prevent you. Well,
Like,
listen, if they say prevent you from winning, they always say prevents you from winning.
It prevents one of them words that don't mean anything anymore because everybody just thinks any zone is prevent. Like if you just play any off coverage, you in prevent. Like prevent's a specific set of looks.
Yeah. Prevent's like you're playing off and you're playing 4 deep.
Yeah. Jeff,
at least, right? Somebody told me you could play prevent out of like a cover 2. I was like, I mean,
I guess if you play, you could consider like off man and too high
quarters. They're gonna have if you have 4 dudes dropping back 25 yards, it's quarters, bro. Like I don't care what they line up in before that.
Jeff here says the one thing nobody has mentioned is we outscored 63 in the second half. Week 17.
I literally just mentioned it. Like maybe that was a late super chat, but yeah,
the one thing
is holding them to 3 in the second half.
I think that's instructive because the way that they did that. Right. I mean, there were some quality defense, but the Chiefs had the ball 3 times in that second half. 3 times. I mean, the Bengals
one of them was a dropped interception by Eli Apple. A lot of people forget that. Pat Mahomes.
Was it Eli or
it was Eli Apple?
Was it okay? The Bengals did a very good job in that second half of sustaining drive. The big criticism I had, of course, about this team all year, right? They couldn't sustain long drives down the field. They did that in the second half of that game. They were able to sustain almost every drive they had down the field, and that limited Kansas City. You don't give the ball to Patrick Mahomes. That's your best defense right there.
Yes, that is where the Bills made the mistake. You do not give Pat Mahomes the ball back at the end of the game.
No, that's Zach Taylor. That's why Zach Taylor deserves Coach of the Year. How he handled how he handled it, and then like how Andy Reid the defense allowed that situation to come in the hat. That was
like kick the field goal. I'm like, nah, dog. I'm not giving Pat Mahomes the ball at all.
Like we're not scoring here, right? Like and the Chiefs were like, yeah, you not score. It's like, bro, no, it's time to let them score and get back the ball. What are you doing? You are not the feature on this team. Nobody is watching the Chiefs to see Chris Jones on the defensive line. Let that man score a touchdown so we get Pat Mahomes back out here.
Luis here says, what does it mean when the line is?
What a question!
Look, we will have to. I know Luis is one of the Patreons, and we'll have to do a video of all this, what all this means, at some point, Luis. But just a very quick, it just means when the game starts, the Bengals have 7.5 points already in Vegas, right?
If they lose by less than 7, you win.
Yes,
even if they lose.
Yes.
No, they lose by less than 8.
Less than 8.
Yes,
7.5. Yeah, 7. You're good.
So just whenever the final score is down, please just add 7.5 points to the Bengals, and that is the score for Vegas. You can make it as simple as that. But we'll make a video of all this stuff for over unders plus whatever.
It's like when you play your little brother at Madden, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna spot you 8 points."
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That.
Yeah. That's exactly what
and the half point matters a lot in that case. We'll talk like Sonny said, we're going to do some content over the offseason on the Patreon channel explaining all of that. Those half point matters a lot. Like, the difference between 7.5 and 7 is way bigger than the difference between like 8 and 10. That 7.5 is huge.
By the way, could you imagine Harrison Butker would have missed that kick?
Yeah, I would have lost money because I had Chiefs by 2.5. So yeah.
Could you imagine?
I was living it.
Could you imagine they did all that and you can't get back on the plane, dog?
His kicks were squirrely all game too. So
yeah, and then because Harrison Butker is mad, inconsistent. You know what I mean? He'll hit a long one, but he might miss a 35-yarder.
He did miss an extra point, which sent the game from what should have been a 10-point lead to a 9-point lead. And once again, as someone who had Chiefs minus 2.5, 9-point lead leads directly to a 2-point lead, which leads to a Tony loss. So anyway.
Tony, you can take it over.
All right.
What are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, so I think, from this game, I'm really intrigued. The matchup I think everyone's going to be looking for. We can talk about Mahomes, and everything, and what the Bengals defense is going to do. And like everyone said, I think the Bengals defense is a tough matchup for Mahomes. Not because like this great defense, they're not. No one thinks of the Bengals as like this top 5 defense in the league, but they're solid they're solid everywhere, right? They have a solid defensive line. They have a solid linebacking core, solid pass rush, solid secondary. Every level there, you wouldn't say like, wow, they have a top defensive line in the league, but they're super solid. You know what I mean? Like their run defense may not be spectacular, but if you expect Derrick Henry's just going to run right through them coming off of a months-long injury, as we saw last week, nope. And I think that's a dangerous thing for the Chiefs because, again, where do they go to exploit? What Andy Reid and this team love to do is to take your weakness, right? It's what everybody says about the playoffs. Your weaknesses are going to be accentuated the most when it comes to the playoffs. What is it about this team? What is it about this defense that Mahomes and them are going to be able to exploit throughout the game? I don't know that there's one thing where you say like, oh, well, that matchup is one that really favors Kansas City. I mean, obviously Mahomes and those weapons are going to make things happen, but not because they have this kind of mismatch on one side. The other side, though, when you talk about the Bengals and the Chiefs, I think this is kind of where the game is going to play out for me. I mean, what I'm most interested in. This was a matchup last time that the Bengals crushed the Chiefs here. That Chiefs defense got made look silly by Burrow, specifically by Jamar Chase, who like bodied every corner he went up against. And so they did that last time, right? We've already seen it. We've already seen this Chiefs defense get manhandled by the Bengals. What are they going to do? Everybody will say the same thing. What are they going to do this week to switch it up, right? Are they going to leave Jamar Chase in one-on-one again? Come on, they can't do that. One thing people forget about this game is that the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs is Steve Spagnuolo. Steve Spagnuolo is one of these guys who believes we do what we do, right? They're very, very much like the Mike Tomlin, the standard is the standard. If he's, I don't think he's going to come out in this game and be any less aggressive when it comes to blitzing the quarterback. And I think that's going to mean that you are still going to have those one-on-ones. I think he's going to look at that game tape last time, and he's going to say, look, yeah, Jamar Chase absolutely killed us down the field. But, as we all talk about, regression to the mean. Hey, he's not going to do that to us. You just can't win 50-50 balls. They call them 50-50 balls for a reason, right? He's not going to win. I actually looked up the numbers here on the contested catch rate.
With Jamar Chase.
They're not. That's
80-20s.
No, they are. They absolutely are. Look, the contested PFF, that three-letter organization, they charted the contested catches in that game. 60% the Bengals came down with in that game. 60% of the contested catches the Bengals came. And by the way, Chase came up with like 80% by himself. That is a far cry from what this team did in the regular season. The Bengals, Jamar Chase had a 44% contested catch rate in the regular season. Higgins had 34. So Spagnuolo may just come out in this game and say, "Hey, look, I'm going to leave my guys on islands again. I believe that these guys will win, especially in Arrowhead and all that." We'll see. Well, again, it's something I'm really intrigued to watch in this game, and it's why, as I talked about with Sonny on that Patreon show, I can't bet the Chiefs -7 because I think the Bengals have every chance to go toe-to-toe with this team, again, even in Arrowhead. The other thing about this game is we talk about big plays and how is this team going to generate big plays. Even in a world where they do switch to too high, where the Chiefs switch to a more too high look all game and tell the Bengals, we dare you to run the ball, we dare you to kind of methodically beat us down the field. People forget, like, Jamar Chase's run after catch ability is absurd. The biggest play in that game was not the one down the sideline where he bodied the corner or the one where he got the touchdown. The best play Jamar Chase had in that game is he caught a routine play and then the seas parted for him and he kind of flew past every defender. It was one of the greatest plays you will ever see from a wide receiver after the catch. I mean, again, he had no business taking that ball, whatever it was, 76 yards for a touchdown on that one.
Thank you for that, Tony, because me and Zim had a debate for like the best play, and I was like, that was the best play of the game. Zim thought it was the 3rd and 26 or whatever, which was insane as well.
Yeah.
But I thought it was that play there that you just talked about.
And think about it from last week, right? I talked with chat last week and I said, look, over under 2.5 plays of 20 yards or more against this Titans defense, because the Titans, we knew were going to sit in that too high and they were going to bring pressure with 4, and we knew that that pressure is going to probably get there with 4. So how are you going to create big plays down the field? Well, the biggest play was not a kind of play down the field where they went up against Jamar kind of bodied 2 receivers. Once again, it was Jamar Chase, and I believe that was a wide receiver screen. last week, where he once again just decided, guess what? Peace. I'm out of here. So that stuff can happen at any moment, and it's not something that the Chiefs are, because they're going to sit in some certain coverage that they're going to stop that. Or they're going to have to take good angles on Jamar Chase, and as we saw, our boy Daniel Sorensen in that first matchup, he took literally the worst angle of all time in that cover 2 breakdown where Jamar Chase had the long touchdown. So
that's what he does.
no, he's terrible. He's trash. Absolutely. Every play he's on the
one
field.
good play in his career.
If he's on the field, you got to go.
It's a concussion.
If you see Sorensen on the field, you got to go over.
Barbecue chicken hit the left side. He ain't gonna get there. Like he's not going. It's like when it's the exact same thing with Andrew Sadeo last year, where it was like you gonna have Andrew Sadeo flat underneath and then come back out and cover the deep left. No, that's toast. He's not getting those 7 yards back. Like keep that man back there. But every time they try to rotate those safeties, every time they try to make Daniel Sorensen do anything other than just stand there and cover a running back, he gets toasted. He is just a liability on the. I don't know how he keeps getting out there. Like he don't provide nothing for that defense.
Crazy.
Like his plus or minus numbers got to be awful. I would love to know what his plus minus is.
It's a minus. I'll tell you that.
I know.
One other thing I want to touch on in this game is obviously we have to talk about the pressure and we talk about like your weaknesses are accentuated. Okay, yes. Last week, we've talked about the Titans' ability to get pressure and the Bengals' offensive line, and that's going to be a key matchup. And it was. I mean, the Titans got a ton of pressure in that game and converted into 9 sacks. So people look at this Kansas City defensive line. They say, well, they could probably do the same thing, right? Chris Jones in the middle, Melvin Ingram on the outside, Nandi, all of that. And they certainly have talent there. But one of the weird things, I know it's going to sound weird coming from me, their pressure to sack rate is one of the worst in the league, right? They get pressure just as good as everybody else. They had so far this year, they've had 345 pressures on the quarterback. That's actually more than Cincinnati, who had 327. It's less than the Rams and the Niners, but not by much. But they convert those pressures into sacks at a rate of just 11%. 11%. When the Bengals converted at 16, the Rams 16, and the 49ers 18.
4 Jadeveon Clownies out there.
I mean, it's true, though. And in a game like this where we saw the Bengals last week were able to still withstand that pressure and put up, and make a game of it, even in a game where not only did the pressure get to Burrow, but the sacks came to Burrow, and they were able to stay within that game. In this game, the Chiefs are going to have to get him. They're going to have to get Burrow into those long situations, those second and long situations, those third and long situations, like the Titans did last week. If they can't do that, they're not. Again, this is going to be a game that's going to be played in the 30s for both teams. And I think the other thing is, even if they do get to him, one thing I really liked about Burrow last week and this offense in the Bengals is their ability on second down to still stay ahead of the chains. When you get into yourself in like a 1st and 20 or a first or 2nd and 15. The one thing teams they do in those, they run the ball, right? And then you set yourself up for like 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 13. Burrow does a great job of on those plays in particular, not trying to make too much of it and just get back a couple of yards, right? Let me get, if it's 2nd and 15, let me get 8 to 10 here and just put us back into a situation where it's 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 5. And that's able for them to sustain drive. So I think that's going to be another thing to watch for is the Bengals, their second down efficiency. They had a 50% success rate last week on second down. And I think that's going to be a big key to this game. Look, having said all of this, I'm still taking the Chiefs to win the football game because this is the Kansas City Chiefs we're talking about. But as I said earlier, I am actually now officially on the Bengals plus 7.5. I just don't buy the idea that the Chiefs are going to be able to completely run away with this one. And even in a game where, that game last time, the first half was all, it was a 14-point game for the majority of that half. But again, just like you saw, all it took was halftime for that thing to get back from a 14-point lead to a 3-point lead for Kansas City. So I like the Chiefs to win, but I like the Bengals to keep it close.
Tony, what is your score since you're taking the under? I said 30-27, so it's 57 for me.
Yeah, I'll say something like 27-21.
Okay.
Because I think I'm leaning under in this one. I think long possessions, especially for the Chiefs, who are probably not going to be having the kind of big plays that the Bengals are going to have. The Bengals will likely have a couple. The Chiefs maybe not so much, and both teams are going to have to sustain drives. One thing that the Bengals could do in this game is come out and try to establish. Both teams actually could come out and try to establish a run, and that obviously will shorten the game a little bit. So I'll take it. I'll take the under.
Which game? What kind of game is more advantageous for the Bengals though? Because I feel like if it's a low-scoring game, the Bengals have a better run game, so that might be more advantageous to them if they can play clock control a little bit more. But I don't know, because Kansas City can be okay against the run at times. Like they don't ever do it for a whole season, but they'll do it for a game. And then with Kansas City, it's like they really don't have a running back. Like they got McKinnon out there.
CEH,
but they're just guys at this point. They're not dudes. And you know that would concern me. But again, Patrick Mahomes and his efficiency, both long and short, like it's just something that gets me. Yeah. And then they can always just throw like a Mecole Hardman end around here.
Yeah, Mecole Hardman as well. That's another guy you got to watch out for sure.
Yeah, he pop up on you, don't he? Right? You just be watching it. He's like, damn, they got all these. Who is Pringle? You know what I mean?
That is what I was saying the last game. It was like because we took Kelsey and Hill out, so these other guys are just coming out with everything. I was just like, and these are like, this is like the third and fourth option, and these guys are just making plays.
Don't stop.
Well, I know Ace has to go, man. Thank you for joining, man.
Yes, sir.
I would say good luck, but I would have mean it. So
I got a lot of trouble.
Real quick, Ace, before you go, we was talking last time about how Joe Burrow really don't got no favorite team because depending on where he played that season,
I already know what you're about to say.
The story is that he was a fan because I remember people were like, no, he was a Saints fan growing up. He wasn't a Bengal fan. And the Bengal fans like, no, he said he was a Bengal fan. And then this picture pops up with him in a Chiefs helmet. And I'm just
he actually, Quincy, believe it or not. And I heard you guys say this, but he actually grew up a Browns fan. Browns fan. They claim it wasn't that he was a Bengals fan. It was that he was a Browns fan.
That's when you knew Joe Burrow had good decision making skills. Is when he decided I'm gonna just play the field, baby.
All right, fellas, you guys take it easy.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
So let's go to some super chats here, Tony.
Let's do it.
You found another one.
Did I find one that we missed? Okay, let me go back to it. I was trying to read it. Yeah. Ground Zero here, $5 super chat says, can a Bengals fan please pour Who Day beer on Brittany's head if we win? Then Patrick Swayze Roundhouse Jackson Mahomes. There you go. Trying to
they have the internet
TikTok.
really don't
Everyone
like
hates TikTok. What if I told you all TikToks are bad? Huh?
That's not true.
That is.
TikTok's pretty
David.
Good. I've spent 8 hours on TikTok.
Well,
like on the For You page. Look, there's a lot of hold on, wait. I'm gonna defend TikTok against the boomers. All right. Because
there you go.
Look, no.
Against the boomers, you said Tony, you're a boomer.
I'll definitely turn into a boomer.
Dot. You know what I mean? The Gen Xers, you know what I mean? You'll always hate on TikTok. And look, yes, are the dancing part of TikTok? Yeah, that's cringe. Is the teenage part of TikTok? Of course, they're teenagers. Their whole existence from like age 13 to 22 is just straight up cringe. Like, of course, whatever they produce is cringe. But you get deep enough, you won't get on TikTok for a while. They just start recommending you stuff that you just like. You know what I mean? Like you're getting all the best versions of that stuff that you like. And as somebody who appreciates cat videos, I'm saying I've never had a better deluge of cat videos than I've had since TikTok has been invented.
Horrible.
So, you know what? Fervent defender of TikTok on this show. And just in case you think I'm wrong in that chat, just know Tony defended Cliff Kingsbury this year. So everything he says is wrong now. Forever. Okay.
That's it. I will never recover from that one. It's true.
Can't believe you had the audacity to sit here and bring it up to me. Talk about some I need to reevaluate my Cliff Kingsbury take.
You need to reevaluate TikTok. You need to reevaluate TikTok usage. Your Cliff Kingsbury take. Well,
I might have to. Look, I'm not going to lie. I'll be on my phone way too much. But, this ain't the conversation. I'm just saying you can get fun out of TikTok. Look, I used to be like you, Tony. Oh, TikTok kids. I hate TikTok. And then somebody was like, download the app. And I downloaded the app. And they started sending me TikToks. And then all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm on TikTok. Like,
reasoning why I don't download TikTok is there's a lot of stupid things. I mean, that's correct.
Yeah, do not follow the stuff that you actually like on TikTok. Like, you don't need to be on Ravens TikTok. Like, I don't want to be on Browns TikTok. I'm not watching sports TikTok.
But my problem is, like, I already spent too much time on my phone. I need to step away. Right now, I'm taking 2 master classes, and I have my kids and a bunch of other stuff. I just cannot be in this
What
shitty.
TikTok is perfect for? Number 2s.
Wait,
I know you ain't writing no dissertation while you doing that. You can get on TikTok at that time.
That's where I do my best Twitter work.
Exactly. That's why I'm watching the game. You know, other than that, I don't really tweet.
Okay, David here. Tony, you.
Oh, it seems like it's the tale of 2 quarterbacks: home talent quarterback versus Joe, the quarterback who works obesely.
Obsessively, I think he was.
Yeah, obsessively. Work beats talent. Bengals win 24-28.
Wait,
so he's on the under.
You know, your guys think Patrick Mahomes don't work hard?
Nah.
You think he just wakes up?
Natural talent.
Yeah, he's never worked a day.
By the way, did you saw that Tom Brady? He alluded that a big bit. He's like, he never did the TV12 thing.
Yeah, it was a joke.
That's true about Ben. Like
Ben
has been,
I know,
just throwing ice pack on it.
Openly admitted that he don't really work that hard in this thing.
I know.
It was great. I actually, of all the things Brady's ever done, that one I actually appreciated. I actually got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
He said, just throw an ice pack. He said, some people do the TB12 method. Ben just did the throw an ice pack on it. And 18 years later, yeah.
Yeah, Ben was out here doing what they did in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Throwback.
You know what I mean? He barely got on the table, But Patrick Mahomes, I don't think that's a narrative I would go with. That he does not work hard.
Someone tweeted the other day, like, Big Ben's about to get so fat and it's going to be awesome. And it's probably true.
Oh, yeah. He's always struck me as a guy who was just always naturally, his walking around weight was just 20 pounds above his playing weight. So he's just going to get a little bit heavier, but he ain't going to get big. Right, because I think he just is one of them dudes who can, those dudes. They make a lot of them in Pittsburgh where they could just eat like garbage. They just still gonna be 225 at the end of the day if they 6'3" or something like that. That's just
I can see that. I can see that.
He gonna look like what Ben always looked like before the elbow when he had to cut weight to be able to move his arm enough to throw the football. He's gonna look like regular old Ben.
It's not like he has been restricting himself in the past whatever many years, right?
What do you mean? Best shape of his life, son. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Do you not follow? I mean,
what's gonna be out of control
better and better
with Big Ben though? Now that he's out the spotlight, what's gonna be out of control with him? His facial hair and his hair situation. Because you notice every time that man has to step away because of an injury, it gets ridiculous with his every time the picture comes up, Ben looks homeless, right? Oh, Ben about to look extra out of work, okay? Because
he's ready to be a Santa Claus in December.
Ben gonna come back looking like caveman, like he gonna come back for that Ring of Fame ceremony. He gonna have like a 10-inch beard, like he gonna be unrecognizable.
All right. When we get through with these super chats, by the way, I want to do my player props so we can get out of here.
Okay.
Okay. So this one is from Charles. $2 super chat says, Ace, that Chiefs space was wild. I'm sure it was. Then he's a whole lot of Migos. There we go. Listen, the fact that Ace and Zim now have this brand of hosting spaces between the opposing fan bases and just going at each other.
It's a pretty smart move.
That's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. All right. Houday Trey, $5 super chat. Bengals win if they protect a little too many weapons and a defense getting turnovers +4 in the playoffs. Oh, I wanted to bring this up. Do you guys know the last time Joe Burrow had a turnover-worthy interception? Meaning that it wasn't a tipped intercept?
Play that should have been picked.
Is this a turnover-worthy throw?
No, an actual interception that was a turnover-worthy play. Not because he had a tip intercept against the Titans, but that we're not going to count that against him because that was a freak play. So when was the last time Burrow had an interception?
I would think it's the Denzel Ward one.
It was against the Niners. The Niners.
Okay, so that was a couple weeks after.
That was 6 weeks ago or something. Do you know the last time Mahomes had one?
Oh, he
the week before?
No, last week probably.
No,
he
didn't throw a pick last week. He threw a pick against Pittsburgh, but it was TJ Watt tip intercept to Devin Bush. I'm not going to put that on Mahomes. It was no tip intercepts here. These are actual interceptions by corners. You know, the last time he had one, Denver, the first time,
week 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, that was around the same. That was about a month and a half ago, or a little longer. Yeah.
Mahomes.
Damn. Can you tell me Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, last week in the red zone, terrible rollout and throw.
But
Jimmy G out of structure, baby.
Can we touch on that game real quick?
Yeah,
It's your quarterback, Tony.
I can't wait.
Because I don't know what the line is. I don't know who's favorite because Matt Stafford just isn't good enough for the line to be crazy for that game.
Correct.
But man, that's the I could smell the Jimmy G slinking to his second Super Bowl. Jimmy G's not going to play well. Jimmy G might throw an interception. He's not going to throw a touchdown.
Well, the only way for him to make the Super Bowl is he plays horrible, right? If he plays
The
well,
worse he plays, the better the 49ers play. Let me show you a stat. I've been doing like mass research on a bunch of quarterbacks because the Browns are in the market. And Jimmy G has played He has played as many, according to Tony's favorite organization.
Yeah,
PFF.
the three-letter organization we're not allowed to say on this show, or I quit.
All right, well, he's played 16 starting level games in his NFL career, right? He's 17 starting level games in the NFL in his career. He's 15-2 when they do that. You want to know what his record is when he plays a backup level game? To give you context, Baker Mayfield, who has played a good amount of backup level games, he's 5-10.
Hugh, can you explain what a backup level game is for the rest?
According to Pro Football Focus, is when you play at a backup level. Like that's what your grade was for that game. It's backup level.
He's probably 500, right around 500, maybe even above 500.
Dog, he's 11-4.
Yeah, there they are. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Steelers fans who don't want Jimmy G, I'm telling you, Jimmy G's the perfect quarterback for Mike Tomlin because Tomlin drags him to the playoffs, and then the Jimmy G playoff thing starts. And man cannot lose once he gets to the playoffs. He
is a living emblem. He's just like putting a good luck like a horseshoe in your car. You know what I mean? He ain't gonna help you nothing. He ain't gonna actually do nothing. But the man is lucky, right? Like if he came to Cleveland, he going like 2-14 or something. Like he's not good, like in that way. But if he came to Pittsburgh, another lucky ass organization, yeah, he'll find a way to get carried. But
man, if he goes to another good organization, what the F did this dude
deserve? The only time in his career where he has like losing records is his replacement games. And he still has a decent record for a replacement game. Like normally you win like 2 replacement games that you play in your career or whatever. It's like that, right?
The problem with Jimmy G is he's
5-8.
But the problem with Jimmy G is he barely plays. I mean, he's been in the league now for a while. He might have 3 seasons of games.
The thing with Jimmy G is that Kyle Shanahan know he's sorry. This is the thing I tell you about with sorry quarterbacks. You can live with a sorry quarterback, but you got to know that your quarterback is not good, right? Because what happens with Kirk Cousins all the time? They forget that he's Kirk Cousins, right? And they just start throwing that thing with Kirk Cousins. Then what happens? Kirk Cousins is eventually going to go Kirk Cousins. What happens with Matt Stafford all the time? We start riding him until we think he top 5, and then we try to use him like Patrick Mahomes. All of a sudden, you reminded he ain't Patrick Mahomes. He's Matt Stafford, which is not bad, but he Matt Stafford. Ryan Tannehill. They always forget that he Ryan Tannehill. The one thing Kyle Shanahan never forgets is that Jimmy Garoppolo is Jimmy Garoppolo, which is to mean that he does not trust Jimmy Garoppolo with the ball. He will have that man throw the ball 7 times in 70-degree weather if it meant winning a football game. He is willing to cut it all off at the passing game if he feels like Jimmy G is going to be sorry. That's the difference, right? Kyle Shanahan just does not let his quarterback get to that point because he is just willing to not throw the football. That's the exact opposite of what happened with Baker this year. After that New England game, we should have all recognized, in hindsight, that Baker was probably going to be sorry for the rest of the year. For whatever reason that you said it was going to be sorry for, it was going to be sorry. And the Browns ended up throwing the ball more with Baker Mayfield than they did before at that point. And that's why they looked worse after that point, is because they forgot that, Baker's playing like Baker right now. And that's an issue, right? That's the thing that makes Kyle Shanahan great, is that even when he has this is why he left Cleveland, by the way, because they started trying to push Johnny Manziel on him, and Kyle Shanahan was smart enough to go, I know for a fact ain't nothing I could do with that. I could do something with Brian Hoyer. But Johnny Football can't do nothing.
He went to Atlanta.
And it worked out for him.
Yeah.
Do we have any more super chats, or are we good?
No, I think we're good.
Woo. All right. I'm gonna give everyone before we go. We're only an hour and a half in, so we got at least another 2.5 hours.
I think you should. I'm sorry. I think because we did a bunch in the Patreon.
We did a lot in the Patreon.
So let's do your top 5. Top 5.
Top 5.
No more than 5. Top 5 prop bets.
All right, this one actually is relevant on the show.
By the way,
we got to do that.
if you have a favorite
All right.
betting site, tell them to sponsor us.
Yeah. If you are in any way affiliated with a gambling or a betting site, we would love to be sponsored by you because let me tell you, we talk about it all the time here. All right, so we did this on the Patreon show. You can head over to Patreon and support us there if you want. Appreciate it if you do. But these are going to be like a sprinkling of what we do on the Patreon shows. These are my props. All right, I got a lock. Number 1 lock. This one I love. This is one I think is easy. I hope it's not. I hope the line hasn't changed yet. Joe Burrow over 8.5 rushing yards. Joe Burrow's gone over that number plenty of times this year in a game where you know that the Chiefs are going to get pressure and he's going to have to escape out of it. I know he likes to keep his head downfield, but I feel like this is a game, especially when
yards, at least.
Yeah, when they're blitzing, all you need him to do is get one.
Offering on that prop bet?
It's even money. You get even money on that one.
Oh, I was about to say, there's no way that's plus, right?
No, it's even. It's even money. But the only problem you have with this one is you kind of are cheering against the Bengals win because you really don't want Burrow kneeling on it at the end. You don't want him at 10 and then he's kneeling on it 3 times and you go down to 7 and then
This shit that happens to y'all, man.
Listen, this is what gambling does to your brain. Okay. This is what gambling does to your brain.
I remember I went to the Vegas sports book and I saw somebody lose their mind. I looked at all the screens. I promise you nothing was happening on any of those screens. But that man he lost a lot of money apparently because something.
All right, this one I think feels too easy, and that's why I'm almost taking the under. Both teams to score over 24.5 points. You're getting 1.5 plus 150, so you're getting 1.5 on your money.
I have a 30-27, so yes.
Yeah, I think both teams go over 24. I think what did I pick? 27-21. Yeah, so
no, you said
20. Yeah, I'm actually not betting this. Yeah, you're right. You're right, because I'm taking the under now. I'm on the under because of all these weirdness. Vegas has convinced me to take the under.
You seem confused here, Tony.
I do. All right, how about this one? This one plays into my under. First score of the game is not a touchdown. No is plus 139. So again, almost a little over, or almost 1.5 on your money.
Well, first drive.
The first score of the game. The first score is not a touchdown.
I think it's gonna be a touchdown because I think the Bengals go all in for the touchdown. If the Chiefs get it, I think the Chiefs go for a field goal.
If the Chiefs get the ball first, we're screwed. This bet is screwed.
I actually think you have better chance if the Chiefs get the ball first.
Ain't no way that the Bengals are good because you saw how they played against. I know Zach Taylor can be conservative, but you saw how they played against the Chiefs last time. They were pretty.
That's my point.
But they were super conservative at the beginning of that game. They didn't get aggressive till the end. They were real conservative at the beginning. They didn't go for it.
And they were losing. And then when they got aggressive, the game changed. That's my point. I think if you get the Chiefs,
so you're staying away from that one. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'll stay away from that shit.
All right. Then all right, we'll do this one. These are the easy ones. You and I talked about these, Sonny. Both you can get props on the longest completion for both quarterbacks. Burrow's longest completion is over 39.5 yards. I mean, he's had multiple 40-yard reception or 40-yard passes. This one is like almost free money. Mahomes' longest completion is over 37.5. Now, Mahomes, they said that too high thing, so they haven't been able to have longer completions. But the last time Mahomes had a game where he didn't have a completion over 37.5 yards, November, the last time that happened.
Yeah, I think both. I'll take both.
I think both is good. All right, and then my sicko mode play of the week, 11-1 odds on this one. Don't bet. Just sprinkle. Again, this is one we're just going to sprinkle a little on it. We're not putting a lot on this. But Joe Burrow to have 400 yards and the Bengals to win the football game, 11-1.
Cute.
Now, here's the thing.
Tony tells his wife, this paycheck, this 20% is all on gambling shit. Don't worry about this.
Just 20?
Yes,
just 20.
I'm pretty sure the proceeds, his 25% of the revenue of this show, all goes straight to certain offshore websites that we could not name.
You stay winning, dog. You don't need to put more in if you stay winning out there. By the way, Burrow had 400 yards and they won the football game the last time these two teams played. So this one, it's again, you're doing that in Arrowhead, which is the big key here. I mean, you're going to throw for 400 and win the game in Arrowhead, but 11-1 odds. Just a little.
How much do you put in that? $20?
One unit. I got to teach everybody what units are, and we'll do that on the gambling show.
Are you gonna come back with like the little like stereotypical gambler hat with the little pink with the green visor?
Yeah. Like from the 80s, that thing?
I've never understood that. Is there a reason that that's what people wear
I don't know.
in TV shows?
I don't know.
Is it a performance visor? You know what I mean? Does it help you see all your screens better?
Keeps
We
all the
should've
casino
known.
lights out of your head. Yeah, I don't know.
We should have known when the extent to which Tony's gambling problem was when we walked into his house and it looked like a sports book. Like his living room looked like a sports book.
Well, listen, you gotta listen. This is just a pro tip for everyone out there. You should have more than one on Sundays. You should have more than one TV in your living room. You got to. You can't be a one TV guy. You got to be at least a 2 TV guy. And once you become a 2 TV guy, it's a slippery slope to 3. So that's all I'm going to say.
I only had the one.
You
Anyway,
gotta get a second one. It changes your life.
Hey Tony, who got more TVs on, Nova Stone or Izzy?
Oh goodness.
Well,
By the way, Izzy, if you're watching again, it's I know it's not okay, man. Like we gotta have an intervention or something.
Yeah.
We gotta have an intervention. Like this is not okay.
like
You're
I
a Browns
said, I
fan.
think
You
it's
gotta stay with them.
Keep doing what you're doing. And then next year I want you to become the biggest Steeler fan in the world. You know what I mean? I need you to come out here and get involved in these team Haskins versus team Rudolph arguments that's gonna be popping off in a couple of months. You know what I mean? And then if the Ravens get hot, I'm gonna need you to just need you to just go all in on this. You know what I mean? Whoever leading the division, that's who you rocking with. You don't mess with losers, right? Like that's just how it is, you know. I know I was friends with this dude, went to a NBA game with him, and it was a road game. It was like a Cavs road game, right? The Cavs are who we were cheering on, but then the vibe just came overwhelming for the other team, and this man was like, you know what? I'm riding with the wave, baby. I'm not going against the whole crowd. I'm about to root for. It's the last sporting event I ever went to with that gentleman.
Damn, affiliations that quick. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Again, Patreon, if you want to support us a little bit more, go check out the Patreon. We'll be back to the reviewing of the game. Until next time, guys, stay safe.
Have you ever